the stuff in Europe. I got a couple in England, so Dan
Hey,
gets to
if you need
go.
me to
He's
represent you in England, I'll go.
Yeah, if you want to go, but Dan, the special effects, our
Right.
video effects producer, lives there, so it's like I kind of we've got people that can go everywhere and represent. I got a couple in England, so
Yeah.
Dan.
Oh, well, we are live. I see us talking.
All right, perfect.
So, all right, we're live on YouTube instead of Instagram. So, Instagram, fix your policies and maybe we'll join you there. But hey, I'm with TJ Morehouse, and he's the maker of a film called Fool's Gold, which we're going to be screening at our event next week in Cranford, New Jersey. So, the Art of Movie Making Film Festival is the only film festival that focuses 100% on behind the scenes filmmakers and creators. So, we are talking about, how was it made? What are the trials and tribulations behind the scenes, and allowing the filmmakers and creatives to talk about both their perspectives and giving a shout out to the people who work behind the scenes, or letting those people behind the scenes actually speak for themselves, because they often don't get to do that. We kind of forget they're even there, right? So our next event is New Jersey, October 23rd and 24th. It is celebrating the makers who are from that region or who have a foot in that region. So we're here with TJ Morehouse, who's going to tell us about Fool's Gold, and we'll talk a little bit. We're not going to tell you everything because we want you to come to the event or somewhere else that he's screening because it's making the rounds. But anyway, TJ, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, for a little backstory, I did about 18 years in the New York, New Jersey production community, and big shout out to the New Jersey Film Commissioner Dave Schoner, who's a gentleman and a scholar and the best mustache in the business. You got to say that. And we're just really thrilled to be included. Um, our executive producer, Man Sharp, is from New Jersey. He's also a TD and a director. He directs Multicam. He does the Boomer and Geo show every day. So you guys tune in for his
Awesome.
artistry. And then we have Dan Potter. Dan works for a company called Creative Works in London, and he was our VFX producer. And they do a lot of different types of videos, but how I know them is from the music touring industry. They worked for a bunch of rock bands, namely one of the biggest ones I think is Guns N' Roses, and they do a lot of their tour content. So Dan is a friend, and he said, "Look, I see you're making these films, and I see that you're trying to become, because I've done production work most of my life, professional life. You're chipping away at your Michelangelo because." I've mostly done below the line stuff. I've directed one documentary and now two short films. So I think as I get older and the experience and life experience as well as work experience comes to me, I want to share it in that way. And I grew up in Oklahoma, so I know that history from being a part of the Cherokee Nation and just my Oklahoma history class in junior high. That's where we learned about the guy I based the subject matter on, Stan Wadey.
That's amazing. I love it. I also have some Cherokee background. So, hey. And have also, because of that, I was super, super interested in the history and everything when I was growing up in high school. So we have that in common. And so tell me more. And I also just love history, and especially Old West history, and
Yeah,
others
me too.
love
Me too.
going out west.
Yeah.
So it's such a different vibe and feeling out there. It's almost you can feel it different. It's a different kind of like historical feeling than being like in New England, where you
Yeah.
feel, I definitely feel some history, but it's different than it feels out
Well,
west.
the West is wild and untamed. Anything
Yeah.
could happen at any time. It was truly anarchy at points, and one of those tragedies was the Civil War. The Cherokees had been removed from their homelands in today's modern Georgia and Tennessee area to what is now Oklahoma. And then this horrible war happened where everybody was forced to take sides and literally brother against brother on many levels. And Native Americans and different tribes fought on both sides during the Civil War for various reasons. And I really think
Right.
Stan Wadey was a Confederate, and I really think he was old enough to remember the Bluecoats pushing them on the Trail of Tears. So I think it was those choices. I don't think it was merely a slavery issue for them or pro or anti. You know what I'm saying? I think it was more of a distrust of
Yeah.
the government that had just robbed them of their homelands. He was a part of the delegation that originally signed that treaty as well. So there's some controversy there. But Stan Wadey became a brigadier general in the Confederate Army, and he's the only general officer of the Civil War. There were others. There was a Native American that was at the surrender um, at Appomattox Courthouse and was an aide to Grant. But this was the only general, and he was in charge of two mounted brigades called the First and Second Cherokee Mounted Rifles. And the entire story is based on true historical facts. Stan Wadey did rob and loot in wartime the steamship J.R. Williams. They did come away with some stuff, although maybe not as much gold and things as I kind of added onto there. So I took those historical facts and then amalgamated them with my love of film and my love of kind of watching older movies, and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre is one of my favorites with Bogart.
Yeah.
And a movie that's 100 years old, Greed by Eric von Stroheim, where he hand tinted the frames gold. So, it's about gold and greed. And so I rolled all that into one. And here comes your modern story of a guy who's doing historical research and he thinks he's found Confederate gold in this old bank vault. But the only kind of caveat is it's got a Cherokee curse on it. I'll leave that. Anything else would be a spoiler alert, right?
Right. Yeah, that's enough said about that. Let's switch to behind the scenes.
Right. Okay.
So it has AI in it, right? You used AI to create it?
It does because I called them a favor, not because I got a lot of dough. We shot this film in 2 days with a guerrilla crew, 4 people, plus the actors. My friend owns some buildings in his old hometown of Wagner, Oklahoma. So we took advantage of that and keyed off those interiors and exteriors that we could do within everything we shot. There's probably within a 100-yard radius, except for the driving shots. So, pretty quick, 2-3 takes at a time. And then I used actual actors as the plates for the ghost that you'll see. And in post, then I sent all that to Dan Potter in London, and he started working on it. And if you guys watch a video by Guns N' Roses called The General, you'll see these transition scenes of the band into the full AI world that he and his partner Jeremy Lior built. So it's very fascinating. And I was watching it and I was like, hey, Dan, I got an idea for this indie film. I got some ghosts. That's a really cool look. What do you think? He's like, I'll help you, buddy.
Let's do it. That's
So,
awesome.
so he took it and, you have to, and he'll explain it in the tech talk. We've got a Vine for you guys, but, you have to go frame by frame with AI and render. So, for example, if anybody watches that film, at the end, there's this really spooky medicine man as the credits roll. That took about 50 hours to render. So this is technically one of the first uses of AI that's not like where it's replacing something. It's enhancing something that's already there.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I like that, I think as a good example, we had this when we had our AI webinar a couple of months ago, is a lot of people, the assumption is that the AI is here to take jobs and to replace people and whatever. But a lot of times it's an enhancement, and especially for history, it's a way to bring in historical perspectives that, are usually static photos or old drawings or, like old photos. And I think especially for younger people and generation, it makes it more engaging, right?
Yeah, well, my grandfather had an old saying. It was called "Ride it before it rides you." So, AI is here to stay. Learn how to use it as a tool. Don't be intimidated.
Right. So let's shout out some other behind the scenes people. What else went into like the backgrounds making it?
Oh, well, it was a labor of love for everyone. Man Sharp, Gina Morehouse, Kevin Ty, Tanya Sappington, JD Cohen, Zachary Matthews, Jeff Heffley, Brett Reynolds, David Huff, Western Doherty, Nicole Donis, and Teddy Jack Bridges. And then our actors, PJ Sosko, who played Junior, Alan Barnes Netherton, who plays Flacco, and Michael Lohman, who plays the medicine man. And then a big shout out to our Confederate ghosts, Tim Lasoin, Waylon Greer, David Charlton, Bobby Smith, Victor Crucia, and Tim Lasoin. And particularly Jeff Heffley and Tanya Sappington and Wagner. They were responsible for kind of wrangling the hometown for us, and they both did a really great job, and it shows in the product. So there's pretty much everyone. Like I said, it was a guerrilla production, fast and quick, and kind of a hit and run in 2 days. And I like making them that way. It's pretty fun. It can be terrifying at times, but I think because I wrote it and knew the subject matter, I was never really at a moment's like, oh God, what do I do kind of thing. I had it mapped out in my head. I knew what we had to get. I've got friends in Oklahoma who have we've got a really great film crew there, by the way, if anybody wants to shoot in Oklahoma, kind of soup to nuts thing. And, they all pitched in. I had a really nice Grip electric truck. We shot this on a red Monstro. Like I said, we were just a little shorthanded. but we managed to make it work. Everybody's kind of a utility player, including the actors. They didn't have the egos to in between takes sit in a chair. They were helping us clean up or move a light or get the camera ready, whatever they really liked to do in between. So it was just everybody pulled together, and it was a good cohesive unit.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned too about having you have all these people in your pocket that can do these things, right? I just called up my friend and said, "Hey, I want to render this like this," and you've done it before. That is another plus, and I'm going to plug for people to come to the event so you can meet and make
Yeah,
friends, do these things. Because then when you have an
yeah,
idea, you're like, "Oh, I remember I met this person at the event, or this person has been my friend since we
exactly.
met." So that is
Exactly. And I want to help everybody at these events. If I can help you guys or enhance you in any way, yeah, bring it. I think collaboration is the way to go. And the bigger network you have, the more chances of success you also have. And I worked my way up in the business. I didn't, my parents weren't rich. They didn't have any influence. I started as a PA and, went from there, from getting sandwiches to making my own stuff and everything in between. I've done pretty much every discipline of production work. So just from working around that kind of thing is where you run into those kinds of folks and become friends, as well as people doing business together, maybe on the same project, and it blossoms from there. Same thing happens at festivals. You meet people. I'm still working with people I met 20 years ago at South by Southwest. So it's definitely a good thing to keep a good Rolodex of friends.
Yep, amazing. And anything else you'd like to part us with? Again, I don't want to give away the farm because we are trying to get people
I
to come to
just
the event.
I want to tell all the filmmakers out there, whether technical or not, don't give up. And just getting the movie made is such a huge victory because you know how many people try and don't not fail, but just don't get it made for various reasons. And it's heartbreaking as an artist to not do something like that. So I'm really pumped just to have something like that out there. And if it can help other filmmakers make their films or advance their ideas, I'm all for it. It only helps everybody.
Great. That is a perfect ending message. And speaks to us today. We didn't give up on Instagram. We just popped over here to
That's
Zoom.
right. That's right.
So
Well,
keep
hey,
on
we're
trucking.
looking forward to it. And you guys look for at the festival, Man Sharp, who's also a technical director and multicam director, and Alan Barnes Netherton, who plays Flacco. He's going to come over from Brooklyn. And I'm available if you guys want to do any kind of uplink Zoom or anything like that, as well as Dan Potter via his Vine, which I had him do it by Vine because that's how we did the edit. So I thought that was kind of cool and techie to also have him do his explanation of all the magic behind the scenes by Vine, like you're in on the edit.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for jumping on here today to talk about this. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks for having us. We're thankful and grateful to be here.